From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, son.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
Well, happy Friday morning to you all. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. So glad you could join us this Friday morning. And you know what? We've got a beautiful day in store for us, a beautiful weekend in store for us, despite the fact that, yeah, we could certainly use some rainfall. So here's the deal. Cool mornings, mild afternoons. These headlines, they haven't changed much through the week because the weather forecast isn't changing much, right? Now, we do have those winds possibly returning as early as Sunday into early next week. We'll take a closer look at that here in a second, but possible rain near the end of the month. I'm beginning to see more and more signs, more consistency that sometime within the last week of this month of January, we'll be looking at some more wet weather making its way back in the forecast. So here's Krueger's Quickcast for your Friday, January 17th. Just a quick look at the forecast for the day so you can be on your way if you don't want to spend a lot of time looking at the forecast this morning. There you can see it's a chilly start, some frost out there, fog for some of the mountain valleys along the coast as well, 20s and 30s in the higher elevations by 8 o'clock this morning. We have another beach hazard statement that's been issued by the National Weather Service. Now, it won't take effect until Saturday, but Saturday through Monday, we've got that risk for more sneaker waves along the coast. And again, for those of you that are like, sneaker waves, what are those? Well, if you don't live on the coast, essentially what it is it's a rush of water you don't see coming. It can surprise you. It can sweep you from under your feet if you're on the shore, if you're on the beach, or if you're rock hopping, and it can be a dangerous situation. So this is, again, for Saturday through your Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So, big picture. Rid of high pressure, yes, it's something I've been talking about. I sound like a broken record, but that's essentially what's going on. You'll notice a nice little atmospheric river down to our south making its way into Texas, right? But nowhere near us. We've got plenty of moisture. Storm systems off to our west. They can't move in either. Why? Because of, the high pressure. That high pressure is blocking those storms from moving on in. All right, so here's your forecast for your Friday. Sunny skies, upper 50s to about 60 in the valley. 40s for most of the higher elevations and low 50s out along the coast, looking at eventually mostly sunny skies there as well. Here's your 7-day outlook for the valley. Temperatures generally in the low 60s pretty much for the next 7 days. In fact, we're going to see a slight dip in our temperatures early next week, then maybe going back up again by next Wednesday and Thursday. And for those of you that have a 3-day weekend for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, looks like some beautiful weather for your Saturday, Sunday, and your Monday. The coast, inland, and for Trinity County, you're not seeing much change here either. Still dry for the next 7 days. And we take a look at Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains. Once again, also dry conditions here. Maybe a slight increase in our temperatures by the time we get into Wednesday and Thursday. All right, that's Krueger's Quickcast. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're having yourselves a great day. Stick around, though, if you want our deeper dive forecast. We're going to talk about the potential for that rain coming in later this month. And, of course, maybe those winds picking up a little bit as well. But before we get to all of that, do want to remind you, there's a free 24-hour streaming channel that you can have access to pretty much anywhere you are, from your phone, anywhere on YouTube. Even if you have a smart TV with YouTube, bam, you're watching the 24-hour streaming channel. If you have an Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, we've got an app for those. You can search for Weather NorCal, and before you know it, you're watching the 24-hour streaming channel there, right there on your TV, your smartphone, or even on your computer. All right, let's take a look at the fires in Southern California. We're probably going to start wrapping up the daily coverage of this because we're starting to lose more and more of that potential for there being big risks down in Southern California. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First of all, you can see the containment numbers are continuing to get better and better. They're slowly inching their way up. In fact, we're at 100% for the Hearst fire, 55 degrees for the Eaton fire. That's up at about 10% since yesterday, and we're up at about 8% or 6 to 8% since yesterday for the Palisades fire as well. So again, conditions are improving there. No red flag warnings, no wind advisories or high wind warnings. We do have some gusty winds, though, still to contend with. But here's the key to today's winds. Those winds are coming from offshore. They're coming from the ocean onto the surface or onto the land. That is going to be a little bit higher humidity, so you're not going to worry about the effects of the Santa Ana winds. We don't have to worry about that as far as the effects giving us drier conditions, warmer conditions as well. This is also a cooler source of air moving onshore as well, so that does help. But you'll notice a bit of a west wind, pretty gusty for some of those mountain locations. So it's just something to kind of keep a close eye on. Now, you'll notice as we go into Saturday, most of the winds are off to our east, a bit of a north wind. That could create some problems, but again, nothing all that much of a concern here when we're talking about the vicinity of where the fires are. And then, of course, on Sunday, the winds overall are dying down as well. So again, conditions are certainly improving. All right, let's take you back home here in Northern California and look at the winds here. Here we are on Friday. Today, yeah, the winds a little breezy off to the east, but overall, looking at pretty good conditions here. The winds may pick up a little bit here for the valley, maybe a little gusty at times, 10 to maybe 20 miles per hour on Saturday. And then we take you into your Sunday around noon. The winds for the most part dying down as well. Now it looks like Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening into Monday, even Tuesday of next week, those winds may begin to pick up again even for parts of the valley. And we'll show you that here in a second. Once again, here's the bigger picture. You can't really see it too clearly here, but there is a high pressure in place. These storms here are basically butting up against that ridge and moving up and over the ridge. You can kind of see how the clouds are kind of moving up and over. Meanwhile, we do have a nice atmospheric river way down to our south. Unfortunately, that's not going to have any impact on our weather. So we take a look at Futurecast, and again, you can see the ridge of high pressure. Watching this area of low pressure right here, because this is what's going to have an impact on our winds later this weekend and into early next week. So there's Sunday. You'll notice again, see where all the tightly packed isobars are? That's where the stronger winds are, mainly to our north and east, not so much over Northern California. But the winds may start to pick up by late in the day, Sunday to Monday, especially as this area of low pressure kind of shifts off to the east here. That could help to create some, we'll call it breezy, borderline windy conditions here for your Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We take you into your Tuesday of next week. There's a little bit of a slider right here that may elevate the winds a little bit, but again, I'm not seeing any signatures that tell me that it's going to be a major wind event. But, you know, just a little breezy at times as we go into the second half of the weekend and early next week. That then moves out. High pressure really becomes more of a dominant feature again for your Wednesday and Thursday. That ridge builds even stronger, which means temperatures are going to get warmer by next Wednesday and Thursday. I am seeing signs that toward the end of next week, we may see this kind of break through that ridge and maybe bring some rain for parts of Northern California. This is the first signs of kind of breaking that pattern of the dry and warm conditions and maybe more of a wet pattern as we get closer to the end of next week. But looking at the long range, Climate Prediction Center still has us in the drier than normal category. And check this out. We see the cooler air off to our east, but it's a little bubble over Northern California in the warmer than normal category. And of course, you'll see that when we look at the 7-day outlook. We can clearly see that, yes, as we do go in the extended range, especially by next Wednesday, Thursday, there's a slight increase in those temperatures. Let's take a look at the lake levels because, again, the concern with the dry conditions we've been experiencing and will be experiencing is something people are thinking about in the back of their minds. But remember, we're above normal for rainfall for pretty much everyone in Northern California. The snowpack, at least here in Northern California, is over 100% for the historical average, and the lake levels. We're looking at the overall lakes looking pretty good too. Historical average there is 125% on average, so we're looking good, right? But we need to sustain that, right? We need to keep adding water to the lakes. We need to keep adding water and snow to those mountaintops, right? We need to fill those rain buckets as well to kind of keep that going. I am starting to see a little bit of a decline in the amount of inches of snow that we're seeing at the summit there at Mount Shasta Ski Park, but still things are looking good. 44 of the runs are open, and of course 100% open out at Mount Shasta Ski Park. Once again, want to remind you, there is a beach hazard statement starting Saturday through Monday. Sneaker waves, that's the main concern here, so just think about that if you're planning on going to the beaches here over the weekend. Here's a look at your wave heights for this afternoon. We take you into your Saturday. You're not seeing much change there, so really no small craft advisories, nothing to be terribly concerned about, but you can see those winds will be from the north at 5 to 10 knots, waves from the northwest at 5 feet at 6 seconds, and from the west at 6 feet at about 13 seconds. Let's take a look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the low to maybe some mid-50s for some of your daytime highs today. We take you off to the north coast, where temperatures are about 54 degrees for Blue Lake, 52 degrees for Eureka, and 56 degrees in Garberville. Let's take you up north, about 55 degrees out towards Smith River, 55 for Gas Key. In Orleans, about 57 degrees. No rain to speak of, at least for the next 7 days. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, 40s, maybe some 50s for some of the warmer spots, like Happy Camp at about 53. 44 degrees for Weed, and Mount Shasta City, about 47 degrees. Here's your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Generally in the mid-40s, give or take. 45 degrees for Alturas, 41 for Cedarville and Fort Bidwell. Let's take a look at the eastern mountains. And yeah, we got those temperatures in the 40s, some low 50s in there. 51 degrees for Susanville, 55 though for Paradise. Shingletown at 3,500 feet. You're going to be at about 53 and 50 for a high today in Doyle. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamuth Painting. Those temperatures in the upper 50s to the south here. As you can see, Corning southward, mainly upper 50s. As we head north of that, say around Red Bluff northward, in the low 60s, although out towards Lakehead about 57, 57 in Whiskeytown, and Palisadro about 61. Taking a look at your 7-day outlook for Redding, those temperatures are going to be basically in the low 60s for the next 7 days. But again, remember I was mentioning, especially when we looked at the Climate Prediction Center, warmer than normal conditions. Check this out. You can see we're in the low 60s, but then we can be looking at low to maybe even some mid 60s. So a slight increase in our temperatures by next Wednesday and Thursday. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon. Have yourselves a great morning.